What is going on? No horsing around, family. Zach Boyd, Stephen Burton, back at it again. Going to do a little over under for you guys today. We're going to go through Anthony Richardson, Michael Pittman Jr., Jonathan Taylor, Josh Downs, and Delani Woods. I mean, I think that'll be a fun one, Stephen. And just before we get started, I just want to take a second and thank everybody for being so patient with me. I've taken some time to kind of recharge, went on a long extended vacation to Alaska with my wife. It was really a great time, and Stephen allowed me to do all of that. But I'm excited, Stephen. I'm back at it again, here to get going and just talk Colts football.
Yeah, man. I've been telling everybody, I was like, be patient. It's okay. Zach's going to be back. We had a lot of questions over the last couple of weeks where Zach was. I said he's taking some recharge time, just like all the players, just like all the Colts players are basically doing for the next 4 weeks. Sometimes we just need a little recharge.
Absolutely, man. So let's just hop right in like we always do and we always have. Anthony Richardson. I'm going to throw some categories out to you on Anthony Richardson. I'll let you go first. Over or under. It's just that simple. And you can elaborate if you want to, or you can just kind of a simple quick answer. I'm going to start with rushing yards because I think that's the one that everybody's the most interested in. And I'm going to set the over or under rushing yards at 700 yards this year as a rookie. This is contingent on if he plays as a starter week 1 throughout the season. Over under 700 yards. What say you, Stephen Burton?
I'm going to go under.
Okay.
I'm going to go under because 700 is a lot. Okay. I mean, I know that we've all talked about it. We think that they're going to have design scrambles. They're going to have design quarterback draws. He's going to scramble just on his own too. That's just 700 to me. That's a good number, but it feels like a lot. I feel like I'm closer to probably between 5 and 6 is kind of where I sit for him. So I'm going to go under the 700. What about you?
I'm going to go just a smidge over. And I mean just a smidge over. Do the calculations. That's roughly 41 yards a game. And to me, I think there are going to be some games where he's a little bit under that 41 yards, but I think there's going to be some games where he's really quite a bit over that. And the one thing that I probably have less questions about Stephen is his ability to run the football. And when you're a rookie and when you have, so many things being thrown at you, a lot of times what you tend to do is revert back to your natural instincts. And we all know his pure athletic ability. So I'm going to go huge number, huge precedent, but I'm going to say slightly over, somewhere between 700 and 750 in his rookie year, which would be damn good. I mean, that would be a very good year.
And you have a great point. Like the reason I was sitting there thinking, I was like, okay, let's think in our heads kind of some of these comps that we've heard, the closest comps we've heard for him, and some of the people who you look at. And then obviously, Jalen Hurts is a big one that comes to mind. And looking at Jalen Hurts' first full year as a starter, not necessarily his rookie, but his first full season as a starter, which is kind of what we think for Anthony Richardson, 784. That was actually more than I thought for him. He was kind of who I had in my head. So, I mean, maybe I'm way off. I mean, that's probably a number that is probably what you're thinking anyway.
I think we're close. I think anybody in the 600 to 750 range is probably right on and spot on what they're thinking. Let's go to rushing touchdowns. Over or under 5 rushing touchdowns for AR5?
I'm going to go over.
Okay.
I'm nailing the over. I think it's way over.
Hey, if you're going over to wager wire right now, Steven, and you get the prop bet over under 5 touchdowns,
I'm nailing it.
I mean, you sound pretty confident. I think it'd be hard. I'd be hard pressed to also believe if I think a guy's going to go for over 700 yards rushing, it'd be hard for me to believe that he doesn't also go over 5 touchdowns. I think somewhere 6, 7, 8 range, which would be fantastic news. Music to my ears, music to you guys' ears, the ones listening. So I know a little bit of chalk, a little bit of homer from me so far, but I'm over on that one. Steven, I'm going to go with interceptions. Now, this one here is going to be probably one of the highest debated. And we really want you guys to tap in and light us up in the comments. We want to know your over-unders as well. Just do a great job like you always do and light us up. Over or under 15 interceptions?
Oh,
That's where I'm at. And I'm going to give you a
that's a
second. I'm going to
great
give you a second
number.
to think on that because I know it's a hard one. I'm actually going to go over on this one. Unfortunately, I'd like it to be under. I think he's going to have a lot of really good throws this year. And I think there's going to be some moments, when you're talking about a very young kid, there's development. And if he's going to play football, he's going to play at the highest level, and he's just going to go out there and do what he's got to do. Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck. We've seen it with so many good rookies. They struggle and they turn the ball over a little bit. But for all of those bad things that they do so much more good that it kind of trumps some of that bad stuff and helps mask that. So I'm going to go over the 15 interceptions as a rookie full-time starter, Anthony Richardson. What say you?
15 is such a good number. We've heard, there are people who are really, really excited. And I think some of the numbers that have gotten floated out for him are a tad inflated when it comes. I know we're going to probably touch on passing yards too. 15 is really good. For some reason, I mean, and you just look over the history of quarterbacks that come in the league, especially like for me, I mean, I'm not going to comp him to this, but I feel like the way he is, another one would be Josh Allen, right? And Josh Allen struggled his first year. I don't think he approaches Peyton Manning's record by any stretch.
Congratulations, Peyton. Your record's safe.
Yeah, I think he's going to hold on to that one. I'm going to go over because for some reason, and I mean, I'll put a number like I'm sitting there going like, I think I see like 17. Somewhere around there. I think Colts Nation should be prepared because I think he's going to have at least one game where you go, what the hell? Where he's going to have multiple ones, 2, 3, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Okay. Last category. You touched on it a second ago. Over or under? I'm setting his passing yards this year over or under 3250.
Under.
I'm
going to go under. I think he's going to be somewhere between 2,500 to 2,700.
Okay.
I don't think he gets to 3 because I don't think they're going to ask him to put the ball in the air that much. I'm going to go like 27, somewhere around there. I think he's below 3,000 yards passing this season.
Okay. I'm also going to go the under on that. I think I'm probably a little more ambitious with the passing yards than you are, but I'm spot on right there with you, man. Within a couple hundred yards, he might crack barely over 3,000 in my opinion, but I don't think the yards are going to be the biggest part of his game this year. It's just the maturity and then him using his legs. Obviously, he's a special talent. That's why we wanted to start with Anthony Richardson. We want to know what you guys think about him as we transition into the next guy, Jonathan Taylor, a guy who's coming back. Fingers crossed, Steven, that he's healthy. And my gosh, defenses are going to have a real decision to make. Do you want to stop number 5 or do you want to stop 28 in that backfield? And that's a real problem. I know we say it a lot, and us as Colts fans, we tend to hype things up because we're all on board. This is probably one I can get behind more than anything. Those two guys, that's a real decision. Over or under 1,400 yards, Jonathan Taylor, and a healthy year, hopefully.
I'm going to go just over.
Okay.
I think like 15 is probably where we're sitting at. I'm going to go just over. I don't think he's going to have that season like he did 2 years ago because you pointed out. I think there's going to be a lot more of pulling the ball. Let's never forget he had that amazing season 2 years ago with them completely taking the ball out of the hands of the quarterback, right? So I'm going to go a touch over 1,400. I think it's a good number. If I'm on wager wire and I'm looking at it, I'm going over, but I'm not putting big money. You know what I mean? It's right there. That's a close one for me. And I
Yeah.
mean, he is coming off of an injury. He's coming off of surgery for the first time in his entire career. So
Yeah.
that's good. No one knows how he's gonna come back from it, really.
Yeah. I'm going to say in a contract year, with just that option of having Anthony Richardson back there, I think he's going to get it. I actually think I would take the over on 1,500 as well. I mean, I'm pretty confident in him having a bounce back year. I think it's going to be a special year for him, and let's hope, man, because I think the running game is really, we're going to be defined by a running football team here moving forward. I mean, that's what we are basically have built here and are going to try to continue to build as we go down the road.
Mhm.
Touchdowns, over or under 10 touchdowns for Jonathan Taylor.
Mm, I'm gonna go over because for some reason in my head 12 was sticking out,
Okay.
like just the number 12. So I'm now it could be way more than that, but I'm gonna go over because there's gonna be so many times down there when we get down on the goal line
Yeah.
that I that's why I said I'm smashing the over on the rushing touchdowns for Anthony Richardson because I think they're going to employ that the tush push that
Yeah.
Philly did a lot last year because they've got this massive quarterback and he's going to pull the ball and then there's going to be times that he doesn't and Jonathan Taylor's going to just walk right in. I see, yeah, I'm taking that. I'm taking the over on 10 touchdowns for Jonathan Taylor.
I'm over too. I think I feel pretty confident. I think 11, 12, 13 is probably pretty reasonable for him. I mean, he's going to get his fair share of goal line opportunities. And I think Shane Steichen is innovative and creative enough. And if you really pay attention to Philly, when they got inside that 5-yard line, they wanted to run the football in, man. I
Mhm.
mean, it just cuts down on mistakes and errors and just missed throws, tip balls that can be intercepted in the red zone. They really took full advantage of that. And there were times where they said, you know what? If we don't punch it in, we're just going to take the 3 points. We're going to get some points here. There was a lot of
Yeah.
points left on the table last year for the Indianapolis Colts. And I think has been a problem a little bit during the Frank Reich era. And I don't expect that to be a problem under Shane Steichen. Let's move on. Last category for him, over or under 45 receptions out of the backfield. I'll go first, Steven. I'm going to go with the under.
Yeah, I think 45 is
Is that
that's
steep?
man, that's a good one. That's a good one.
It's right on, though, I think. It's close.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go under. Um, I think they're gonna use him, but at the same time, they have Zach Moss in the backfield.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna spread it. I really think I know we're gonna talk about them later. I think the tight ends are gonna get so much play in the short passing game, and then we were Joshua Downs, Isaiah McKenzie. There's a lot of balls that are gonna go around when they put it in the air.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go a little less because he is still going to be the security blanket for Anthony Richardson. Just dump it down.
Yeah. Here's one I'm really excited about is Jelani Woods. I think this is kind of the year. We all saw what he had the ability of doing. So it's going to be fun. I mean, just to see what Shane Steichen can do. Obviously, you saw what they did in that offense with Dallas Goedert. I mean, they really use their tight ends pretty frequently in that offense. Over or under 50 receptions for Jelani Woods in his second year. Does he take the jump, or is he going to be just one of the guys he does his fair share, but he's not? There's just going to be so many footballs to be going around on this football team that he doesn't quite get it in your mind.
I'm going over. I'm going over it. I think everything we've heard too coming out of OTAs and minicamp and everything has said that he has really looked like he's going to be a focal point of the offense when
Yeah.
it comes to the passing game. Everybody knows, and too, like I love him. I thought he'd get 6 touchdowns last year. I was close. But then Frank would just forget who he was. He'd just have amnesia and wouldn't put him in a game. I think he's going to be a big because he's so big. And let's not forget to let's go back 2 years. Carson Wentz, they always said like he wasn't a very accurate quarterback, so he like big bodies. Anthony Richardson's not accurate right now, big bodied, big hand kind of player, man, I think it's gonna be a lot. I think he's gonna get his. I'm hitting that. I'm going over, and I'm
Okay.
going well over. I think.
I'm probably it's so close. It's so close. But I'm probably honestly, I think I'm gonna go under slightly. And I mean the slightest of slight. And I hope I'm wrong about this, by the way. If selfishly as a Colts fan, I hope it's over on every category. But I think slightly. I think there's just a lot of footballs to go around, and I also factor in the fact that you've got a rookie quarterback who needs to work on his accuracy, get acclimated with the system, learn the NFL game, and we're going to run the football a lot. I just don't know how many passes will be spread around through all of our pass catchers as we're getting ready to get into a couple of those guys here in a second.
Mhm.
So I'll probably slightly under. I'm going to go slightly
What I will
under.
give you, you had a great number because how many receptions without looking do you think he had last year?
17 games. Let's see. I'd say he probably ended up right around what 42, 44, 45.
He had 25 receptions last year.
Wow.
So you're
Wow.
looking at double. You're looking at him doubling it up. I mean,
Taking that tick,
he,
yeah, doubling it. So actually I thought he had way more catches. So good
I
stat.
think he had a lot of impactful catches last year. That's the
Yeah,
thing. I mean, he
big
had 3
big
touchdowns.
chunk volume catches,
Yeah.
run after the catch type of deal. Let's go with touchdowns. Over under 5 touchdowns for Jelani Woods, and I'll start here, and I'm smashing that bad boy right there. I think that's where he will be a huge target for Anthony Richardson. We're going to take full advantage. And unlike, the Frank Reich era where, Mo Alley Cox would come out and have 2 touchdowns and then you wouldn't see him again for the rest of the season. I think if it works for Shane Steichen in week 1 or week 2 or week 3 or whatever the hell week it is, he's going to continue going back to that well, and you've got
He's
a
going
big
to do it till
target.
you make him not.
And why would you not? Why would you not? I think that was an easy one. We're over on that. Going to set the over and under on passing yards at 650 yards this year. Also going under for me. So I'm going to go.
Yeah, I'm going to go under.
I'm going to stick with the theme. You figure 45 catches, 12, 15 yards a catch. Probably not going to quite get you there. I'm going to go under.
Yeah, I'm going to go under. I think he's going to be more of that inside. I mean, even last year, like he had some great big catches over the middle, but he's not a catch and run kind of guy. I think he's going to be really utilized when you get inside. I'm gonna steal I think it was ESPN, right? You have the red zone, right, and then you had the green zone, which was what inside the 30.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be used a lot, like in those areas, because he's just. I mean, you're going to put him out there with some of these other guys. He's going to be such a mismatch nightmare. I mean, I just don't think he's going to be used in that capacity where he's getting these big chunk plays in the middle of the field.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Let's switch on over to a guy, one of my favorites, and I think a lot of Colts Nation's favorites, Stephen. I know before the draft you were just oozing about him. Josh Downs, rookie. This is a volume catcher. I know he's got a little bit of injury he's been dealing with in the offseason, but I fully expect him to get back healthy and play. This is a guy who is very unlike who Chris Ballard typically drafts, but you feel a little bit of Shane Steichen influence in this situation. A guy who can really catch the football. He's dynamic with him. And he can affect the football game in a lot of different ways. So I want to start with catches. As a rookie, over or under 50 catches for Josh Downs. What say you, Stephen Burton?
I've had this feeling since rookie minicamp with him that I think he is going to be Anthony Richardson's go-to wide receiver. And I think they've already got a chemistry. They've already got a relationship that they're building right away. And I think everyone's going down to Florida during this time too, and Anthony Richardson is going to throw with some of the receivers, a huge chunk of them during this break.
Yeah.
50 just feels like a lot. I'm going to go under.
Okay.
Only because as great as some of these receivers are, you look at even the 2 that we have, it takes time with a rookie receiver. Unless you're like a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson coming in, it takes time for them to get acclimated, and you just don't see massive numbers their first year.
Yeah. This one I'm torn on. I'm gonna hit the over on this one, but I can definitely understand the argument for the under. I think it's right there. I think he's right at about 50, 52, 53, 55. Anywhere from that 40 to 55 range is kind of the sweet spot for him. And I feel like that he's going to be a young target. I do believe that Richardson is going to try to utilize, especially early on as he gets comfortable in this offense. Touchdowns over or under 5 touchdowns. I'll start. I'm going to go under. I don't know that he's going to be a big volume touchdown guy. He does have big playability. I'm going to go under the 5 in his rookie season, barely, but I'm going to go under.
Yeah, I'm going to go under too. I think that there's just I just sit there and I look at some of the wide receivers who are really big bodied, and I just keep in my head, I keep going over when you're not as accurate as other quarterbacks, you tend to lean to try to hit a bigger target, and that's going to be a Michael Pittman Jr., and Alec Pierce, a Jelani Wood, a Mo Alley Cox. So when you really get down into that, I don't think he's going to be like the go-to person in the red zone because he's just small. I mean, I'm excited about him. You're right. Like we both kind of gushed about him before the draft. I don't think he's going to be that go-to. He's going to, don't get me wrong. I could totally see also like receiving touchdowns. I think he's below that number. I could see him getting like one of those ones where he gets like an end around wide receiver bubble, like this one of those weird plays that you see where suddenly he's in the end zone.
Yeah.
But receiving wise, I'm going to go under. I'm going to hit the under with you.
Last one for him before we move on to the final one. Over or under 600 yards. If I'm gonna go over 50 catches, I'm gonna have to go over 600 yards, and I think slightly he's gonna get that as well. I'm hitting the over on the 600 yards. I just think it makes sense for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. If I'm going off of my logic, right?
Yeah.
Which is Anthony Richardson having about 2,800 yards passing. I'm going to go over because I've got the over on Jelani. I think did I do. I did the over on Jelani. I'm going to go over on here. I think he's going to be a go-to. I think he's the one who's going to take that ball more than likely and just get super shifty and go pick up 25 yards. He may only have 3 catches in the game, but he may have 3 catches for 60 yards.
Yeah,
just where he's. I feel like he is like the Paris Campbell type role.
Yeah,
is what they're going to want him to be. And I think he's a better route runner and probably a little shiftier. And I love, too, like I love Paris Campbell. I loved him when he was on the Colts. So I'm going to go over. Yeah.
There you go. Last guy, last category, Michael Pittman Jr., dealing with a little bit of a hip injury this offseason, but also trying to get a new, big, shiny contract as well. Players tend to perform very well in those contract years. Start right here. I'm going to start with touchdowns, a thing that he's not been great at in the past. Over or under 6 touchdowns for Michael Pittman Jr. this year.
I'm going to go over.
Okay.
Like I've said throughout this, like I get a number that's stuck in my head and you're coming really close. Sometimes you're hitting it and then I have to adjust. The number in my head was 7.
Okay.
Like I don't think he's a double-digit touchdown guy, but the number that I have in my head is probably like that 7.
Yeah.
I could see it. I mean, I could see him being like the trustworthy guy. I'm not like enthusiastically hitting it because I do have a question on if he's going to start the season healthy. Like I know we're way off.
Well,
I know we're way off from training. We're a month off from training camp. We're way off from the start of the season, but it's like with the team that we root for and the history that we have, you have to be like a little skeptical when it comes to the injury bug and when people are just sitting. So there's that too. And he does have a history of missing a game or two by being dinged up.
Yeah.
So I think I
Fair.
think I'm comfortable with that number, but I'm not saying like, oh, he's going to get to, I'm not going to say that he's going to have that like that contract year number where you're like, oh my God, like he's never going to pro. I think he's going to have like 2 years ago, probably maybe some more yards. Like, I think that's what we're going to be looking at. I think that's the kind
Yeah.
of receiver he is.
Yeah. I'm going to go under, honestly. I'm going to go a little bit. 6 is really the number. If you asked me to pick the number, I would put 6, but I wanted to make it a little bit harder for conversation, purposes. I'm going to go under. I just think that Shane Steichen, if you watch that Eagles offense last year, they spread the ball around. And they really didn't care who got the accolades for the touchdowns. I mean, I know they did use AJ Brown and Devontae Smith in certain circumstances, but when they got in those goal line situations, they didn't care necessarily who got it. They just wanted to score points. And I think there's going to be a lot of that too. So, and a guy who's just not normally known for catching a lot of touchdowns. He's more of a volume, chain mover. Moving on down the road, speaking of moving chains, we're going to set catches over or under 82.
I'm going to go over.
Okay.
I'm gonna go over because I think what he last year I think I was looking at this because we did a video talking about paying him because we did the live stream and we kind of went through some of the different players and I looked up. I think he had like 140 targets last year. Something way crazier than what we thought.
Yeah.
I honestly think he's a 90 reception guy. I don't know if he's 100 reception, but 80 to 90. I think that's going to be where he sits. I think he is the ultimate for the last three quarterbacks. He has been like the ultimate security blanket in a go-to situation. And until last year, like he was really, you felt really confident in those crucial situations going to him. And we've said it too, like he's 100% a combat catcher.
Yeah.
He doesn't mind going into traffic. He doesn't mind going up to get the ball. Yeah, I think he's an 80, 90 catch receiver. So I'm going to go over. I feel pretty confident in going over on that one.
That's fair. I'm probably got him at about 85 to 90 catches as well. So I'm going to smash the over, especially a guy who's trying to get paid and get that long-term extension if he doesn't get it before training camp. Yards. Is he going to go over or under 1,100 yards receiving this year?
Man,
I'm gonna start. I'm gonna give you a second just to ponder. I'm gonna go slightly under. I think he gets over 1,000, but less than 1,100. Right smack dab in the middle. Normally, when he catches the football, he only catches the football for 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13-yard gains. He's not a big play receiver. He's the type of guy that can catch a lot of footballs, but not a lot of yards. And that's not always a bad thing either. He just isn't as big of a yardage type of guy or a run after the catch type of guy. I'm going to go slightly under. Hope I'm wrong. Hope he smashes it. Hope he has 1,500 yards receiving this year. But I'm going to go slightly under due to the fact he has a rookie quarterback as well. And if we're going to stick with that time on that 2,800 to 3,000, 3,200 range, there's only so many yards to go around on a team who has quite a few weapons. So I'm gonna go under.
I'm gonna go as you were talking because I was curious. So I looked up. I wanted to look up his stats, right? And one of the things we were just talking about with him too is looking at like 2 years ago. 2 years ago was his best year as a pro, right? When he had Carson Wentz. I know, say what you want about Carson Wentz, but he played all 17 games. He had 88 receptions and he had just under 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. That feels like exactly what you're saying right now.
Yeah.
Like, because we went below the 7, we went above the 70 receptions and below 1,100 yards. I think in a contract year and it being important, I'm going to go like just over 1,100 because I think he's going to get that to try to prove that he's the number one receiver. But man, like when you're looking across the board, and we were talking about targets. So that year he had 129. Last year he had 141 targets. So I mean, they have fed him the ball. Now the question is going to be with what Steichen does. But I think, man, you look 2 years ago. I think that's what you want him to be. Now, is that going to when we pay him? Is that $20 million a year like me and you have looked at? Is that 18? Man, I'm just glad I'm not Chris Ballard who's got to decide that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we looked at that list. You had to go down to out of the top 15 to get where like, oh, I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think it's all spot on as far as that goes. Man, it should be it should be exciting. We really want to know what you guys think as well. Feel free to hit us up with the comments over, under. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think? Anybody else you want to talk about? We can have a round 2 on this if we want to get going in that. Should be a fun season. We just thought, off season, just kind of get some different topics to talk about. And Steven, I think this one was a good one. I think we could both agree it's going to be an exciting season. Before we hop off here, quick second to shout you guys out and thank each and every one of you for joining this family. We just keep growing and growing and growing as we get the momentum going. We're almost at 2.6K. Like to be at 3,000 before the kickoff of this season. I think it's very obtainable, and it's only attainable because of you guys and how committed you have been to us, even in the off season when you're not that busy and it's just not a lot to talk about. You still pop in every once in a while and say, hey, and that means so much to Steven and I as we're getting ready to roll into season 3 in a new era, in an exciting era with a good young rookie quarterback who says all the right things. Now let's hope he does all the right things. That's all for me, Steven. You got anything before we head out?
No, I mean, I agree. I agree. I mean, we wouldn't be here. I mean, we joke. You look back, we headed into last season with 1K, which means from then to here has been 1,600 new family members joining the No Horsing Around family during that time.
Pretty awesome.
It's amazing. Keep a lookout, like Zach said. Keep a lookout. This is fun stuff now. I mean, we got through lying season of free agency and the draft, which is difficult for us to kind of deal with. And now we're kind of into speculation season and guessing and more of just fun topics. I mean, y'all have seen me. I have personally irritated both the Titans and the Jaguars fan base in the last week, and it's been a fun time. Yeah. So I agree, man. And I'll wind us up. We end these things the same way we always do. I love you. He's back, and I know he loves you. He loved you while he was gone, too. We're out.